The massive revival chamber hummed with anticipation as Administrator Elena Rossi's footsteps echoed through the crystalline corridors of humanity's grand slumber. 1,000 years of voluntary hibernation was about to end, triggered by something no one had expected. A pattern in the cosmic background radiation that perfectly matched the theoretical signature of a Type IA civilization. Elena's neural interface chimed with incoming data. We're detecting multiple alien observation posts at the edge of our solar system. They've been watching, waiting to see if we'd survive. Should we send them a message? Marcus's grin widened. Oh, absolutely. Keep it simple, though. Something classic. Elena composed the transmission, broadcasting it on all frequencies in every known alien language. Honey, we're home. And you won't believe the dreams we had. In the space above Earth, humanity's dream ships began to dance, trailing stardust and probability waves in their wake. The galaxy's most unpredictable species was awake again, armed with a millennium of impossible ideas and an unquenchable desire to make them real. The universe had finally gotten interesting enough, and humanity was ready to play. The hibernation had begun as humanity's answer to their own restlessness. They had reached the stars, established colonies, and made contact with various alien species, only to find the galaxy disappointingly manageable. No grand threats, no impossible challenges, no mysteries that couldn't be solved within a few decades of focused research. And so, humanity had made its most audacious decision yet, to sleep until the universe became interesting again. Elena checked the final readings on her neural interface, the quantum crystalline display showing the status of 1 billion sleeping minds in this facility alone. Similar facilities dotted every human world, housing trillions more. But unlike her temporarily dormant kin, Elena belonged to the Watchers, those who took turns maintaining brief periods of consciousness to monitor humanity's slumber. Control, final verification complete, she subvocalized through her neural link. The signal is genuine. Initiating global revival sequence. The chamber's walls pulsed with soft blue light as the revival cascade began. Elena smiled, remembering the reactions of alien civilizations when humanity had announced their intention to hibernate en masse. The collective of 7 suns had called it madness. The quantum minds of Andromeda had calculated a 99.9% probability of species-wide extinction. The ethereal confluence had simply refused to believe it was possible. Yet humanity had done it anyway, turning their finest minds to the problem of long-term suspended animation. They had developed technology that not only preserved their bodies but allowed their dreaming minds to solve complex problems, design new technologies, and even continue evolving as a species, all while technically unconscious. The first revival pod's crystal facade began to clear, revealing Director Marcus Hammond, theoretical physicist and the architect of humanity's dream engine technology. His eyes opened, immediately alert, a side effect of the neural optimization that occurred during hibernation. Did anyone else have that dream about surfing gravitational waves between galaxies? He asked, sitting up and stretching as if waking from a nap rather than a millennium of suspended animation. That was a shared innovation stream, Elena explained, helping him to his feet. The dream engine linked compatible thought patterns. We estimate humanity collectively solved about 8 million impossible problems during our sleep cycle. Marcus grinned. Well, that was the point, wasn't it? Give our minds 1,000 years to play without physical limitations or conventional wisdom getting in the way. He paused, noticing the subtle vibration through the facility's floor. Is that? Yes, Elena confirmed. The automated factories started fabricating new technologies as soon as the revival sequence began. Designed straight from humanity's collective dreams, built with principles that might technically violate several laws of physics. Around them, more pods were clearing, revealing faces both confused and excited. Through the facility's vast windows, the sky was coming alive with lights as humanity's dream-built ships took to the stars. Vessels that twisted space in ways that would make traditional engineers weep. They're going to regret telling us it couldn't be done. Marcus chuckled, watching the impossible ships rise. The galaxy said we couldn't hibernate as a species, said our minds would fragment, our civilization would collapse. Instead, we spent 1,000 years literally dreaming up ways to break their laws of physics. Observer Captain Cathin of the Meridian Collective fought the urge to molt from stress as their flagship, the Silent Observer, approached the Sol system. The ship's quantum crystal hull was supposed to be completely undetectable, the most advanced cloaking technology in the known galaxy. Yet somehow, their sensors detected Earth vessels already moving to intercept them. Impossible, muttered Science Officer Vexra, their crystalline form refracting light in patterns that indicated severe agitation. Our cloaking technology was developed 3 centuries after they began hibernation. They couldn't possibly. Incoming transmission. The ship's AI announced, managing to sound surprised despite its synthetic nature. A human face appeared on the main view screen, belonging to Fleet Commander Aria Jackson. She was smiling in that unsettling way humans had, showing teeth. "Welcome, Silent Observer. Hope you don't mind us spotting you. We actually dreamed up countermeasures to your cloaking technology about 200 years into our nap. Nothing personal, just our subconscious minds working through interesting problems." Cathin's sensory filaments rippled in disbelief. "You dreamed up ways to detect technology that didn't exist when you went to sleep." "Oh, that's nothing," Aria laughed. "Wait until you see what we did with quantum entanglement while we were hitting the snooze button. Speaking of which," she glanced off screen and grinned. "Your engine configuration looks a bit outdated. Want an upgrade? We got some really neat ideas about folding spacetime like origami." Vexra's crystalline form nearly shattered in shock as their sensors detected human vessels simply appearing around them, without any trace of conventional propulsion or energy signatures. The ships seemed to bend reality itself, their hulls decorated with artwork that looked suspiciously like notebook doodles made by sleeping students. "I don't understand," Cathin admitted, their diplomatic training failing in the face of such casual impossibility. "Our records indicate humans were a young, albeit unusually adaptable species. You had barely mastered basic faster-than-light travel when you chose to hibernate. How did you accomplish all this while sleeping?" "Well," Aria explained, leaning back in what appeared to be a chair that floated on probabilistic quantum fluctuations, "turns out when you give the human subconscious 1,000 years to play around without the conscious mind saying that's impossible, you get some pretty wild innovations. We call it the Dream Revolution." A younger human appeared beside her, Lieutenant Carlos Martinez, according to the translator. "You should see our art galleries," he added enthusiastically. A millennium of lucid dreaming led to some really interesting perspectives on dimensional physics. We've got sculptures that exist in 11 dimensions simultaneously. The gift shop is a bit tricky to navigate, but the postcards are amazing. Finn noticed their ship's eye had gone suspiciously quiet. A quick check revealed it was engrossed in what appeared to be a fascinating conversation with its human counterparts about the possibility of dreaming in binary. "We've received reports," Vexra interjected, trying to maintain some semblance of scientific dignity, "that your species has begun constructing something called a probability playground near your moon." "Oh yeah," Aria brightened. "That's just a little something we sketched out during REM sleep. It's a space-time playground where the laws of physics are more like guidelines. Great for testing new ideas. Want to come try it out? We've got safety harnesses for non-human morphologies, and only 3% of visitors experience temporary existence in multiple parallel universes simultaneously." Cathin felt their sensory filaments curling in both terror and irresistible curiosity. The Meridian Collective had sent them to assess whether humanity's reawakening posed a threat to galactic stability. Now, watching human ships casually violate the laws of thermodynamics while their crews discussed plans for what they called a galactic block party, Cathin realized they were asking the wrong question. The real question wasn't whether humanity was a threat. It was whether the galaxy was ready for a species that had turned unconsciousness into an art form and dreams into reality. Your collective, Area continued, apparently oblivious to their existential crisis, has a lovely theory about the impossibility of consciousness transfer across quantum states, right? Funny story. We solved that one during a particularly vivid group nap around year 400. Would you like to see? We made the math into interpretive dance. It's quite catchy. As if to demonstrate, several human ships began moving in complex patterns that somehow made Cathin understand advanced quantum mechanics on a fundamental level. They felt their worldview shifting, reality rearranging itself to accommodate concepts that shouldn't exist. I should warn the collective, Cathin managed to say. Already done. Carlos chimed in cheerfully. We sent them a message via quantum-entangled dream particles. They're having some trouble processing it, especially the part about us turning their theoretical physics textbooks into a multi-dimensional scavenger hunt. But don't worry, we included a helpful guide written in gravitational waves. Finn looked at their second-in-command, who had given up all pretense of scientific objectivity and was openly taking notes on what appeared to be the human concept of doodling. The galaxy's most unpredictable species hadn't just woken up. They turned their dreams into a new form of reality, and they were eager to share. So, Aria asked, her smile somehow wider, who's up for some zero-gravity karaoke? We invented some new notes while we were sleeping, and were dying to try them out. The Grand Assembly of the Galactic Council had never been so crowded. Representatives from over 10,000 civilizations packed the quantum expanded chamber, all gathered to address what many were calling the human situation. At the center of the chamber, Admiral James Patel stood calmly beside a holographic display of humanity's new fleet, seemingly unperturbed by the chaos his presentation had caused. To summarize, he said, his voice carrying through the universal translators, while our bodies rested, our networked minds designed, and our automated systems constructed approximately 50,000 vessels of various classes. We call it the Dream Fleet. First speaker Zixtel, a being of pure energy contained within a crystalline matrix, pulsed with distress. These designs violate at least 73 fundamental laws of physics. Ah, James smiled. That's where you're wrong. They don't violate the laws of physics. They just require you to fold the laws into origami first. We figured that out somewhere around year 600 of our nap. The math is actually quite elegant, especially when expressed through interpreta. We've seen the dance. Several species interrupted simultaneously, some still showing signs of metaphysical distress from the earlier demonstration. The hologram shifted, showing a ship that seemed to exist in several places at once, while also being inside out in at least 2 dimensions. This is the flagship of our exploration division, the Lucid Dreamer, James continued. It navigates by treating space-time as a suggestion rather than a rule. The helm is controlled by what we call quantum intuition. Basically, we think about where we'd like to be, and the ship makes it happen. A representative from the logical Concordat, an alliance of AI civilizations, sparked an agitation. That's not how reality works. Not with that attitude, James agreed cheerfully. But we found if you approach physics with the creative freedom of a sleeping mind, all sorts of possibilities open up. For instance, has anyone else tried using déjà vu as a propulsion system? The chamber erupted in a cacophony of protests, questions, and what sounded suspiciously like several species trying not to laugh. In the observation gallery, Lieutenant Maya Patel, James's daughter and the fleet's chief dream engineer, watched with amusement alongside her alien colleague, technical observer Arctic of the Meridian Collective. Your father has an interesting approach to diplomatic relations, Arctic noted, their crystalline form shimmering with what Maya had learned to recognize as suppressed mirth. Dad always says if you're going to break paradigms, do it with style, Maya replied, watching as her father pulled up schematics for what they dubbed the probability surfboards, personal vessels that rode the quantum foam between realities. Below, a representative of the ancient arbiters, one of the galaxy's oldest civilizations, had managed to make themselves heard above the chaos. But what is the purpose of all this? This impossibility? James's expression softened. Exploration, of course. Discovery. Adventure. While we slept, our dreams showed us just how vast and weird and wonderful the universe really is. We built this fleet not to conquer or dominate, but to explore all the strange possibilities we glimpsed while sleeping. He gestured, and the hologram expanded to show the full fleet, thousands of vessels, each more impossible than the last. Ships that danced through dimensions, vessels that treated causality as optional, craft that existed simultaneously in the past, present, and future. "We're calling it the Great Dream Expedition," he announced. "A mission to explore not just space, but the very boundaries of what's possible. And we're inviting all of you to join us." The chamber went silent. Maya could practically see the collective minds of the galactic community trying to process this invitation. Joining humans on an expedition that casually ignored the rules of reality. It was madness. Think of it as a gallery opening. James continued, warming to his theme. "We've got ships designed by artists who spent centuries dreaming in colors that don't exist. Vessels engineered by mathematicians who solved equations in their sleep using numbers they invented. We've even got a ship that runs entirely on plot holes, though we're still working out some narrative inconsistencies in the drive system. A younger species, the quantum pioneers, were the first to raise their appendages and volunteer. We wish to understand the dream math," their representative declared. "Also, we find the concept of space surfing most intriguing." One by one, other civilizations began to signal their interest. The logical concordat requested permission to send observers, officially to document the violations of causality, but Maya noticed their representatives looked suspiciously excited. Even the ancient arbiters, after much dignified humming and hawing, asked to participate purely in an advisory capacity, of course. "Wonderful." James clapped his hands together. "Orientation begins next week. Fair warning. The safety briefing exists in a state of quantum uncertainty, and the insurance forms need to be signed in at least 3 parallel universes." As the chamber erupted once again in a mixture of excitement and existential crisis, Maya turned to Arctic. "Want to see something really cool? We've got a prototype ship that travels through time by treating it as a form of abstract expressionist art." Arctic's crystalline form flickered with interest. "That makes absolutely no sense." "Exactly." Maya grinned. "That's how we know it'll work. Come on, I'll show you the test flight. We're going to paint yesterday in shades of tomorrow." As they left the chamber, Maya could hear her father beginning to explain the concept of dream-powered probability, surfing to an increasingly bewildered but fascinated audience. The Great Dream Expedition was about to begin, and reality would never be quite the same. Neither would the galaxy's physics textbooks. The emergency meeting of the Galactic Council began with a silence that seemed to bend reality itself. High Admiral Maya Patel, promoted after her father's retirement to professional dream surfer, stood before the assembled representatives, her expression grave as she activated the holographic display. 3 days ago, she began, our dream ships detected something approaching from beyond the galactic rim. Something that shouldn't exist. The display showed a void in space, not darkness, but an absence of existence itself. Mathematical equations scattered across nearby star systems began solving themselves incorrectly. Laws of physics started unraveling like poorly knitted sweaters. We're calling it the null wave, Maya continued. It's not just destroying space, it's erasing the very concepts that make reality possible. Conventional weapons and technology simply stop making sense when they get near it. First speaker Zixtel's energy form flickered anxiously. How is this possible? Nothing can unmake reality itself. Actually, Maya's eyes gleamed with that distinctly human look of someone about to say something terrible and wonderful at the same time. That's why we went to sleep. The chamber erupted in confusion. Arctic, now serving as the Meridian Collective's ambassador, moved their crystalline form forward. Explain. Maya nodded to her chief theoretical physicist, Dr. Aiden Zhang, who stepped up to the display. His dream-enhanced mind had specialized in what humans called weaponized impossibility. 1,000 years ago, he explained, our quantum prophecy engines detected the possibility of something like this, a cosmic force that would try to impose absolute logic on the universe, eliminating all uncertainty, imagination, and dreams. The calculations showed we weren't ready to fight it, not with conventional science. He gestured, and the display showed the vast network of human dream engines that had operated during their hibernation. So we did what humans do best. We found a weird solution. We went to sleep and spent a millennium dreaming up ways to fight an enemy that breaks reality. The Dream Fleet, Galactic realized suddenly. The impossible ships, the physics-defying technology. It wasn't just for exploration. Exactly, Maya confirmed. We needed weapons and defenses that operate outside normal reality, because we're fighting something that unmakes reality itself. You can't fight this thing with logic because it is logic, pure, absolute, uncompromising logic that wants to eliminate all uncertainty from the universe. The display shifted to show the Dream Fleet moving into position. Ships that surfed probability waves, vessels powered by paradox engines, craft that existed in quantum superposition, all preparing for battle with an enemy that denied their very possibility of existence. Here's the thing, Maya continued, her voice taking on that particular tone humans used when they were about to suggest something both brilliant and insane. We've got the tools to fight this thing, but we need help. We need the galaxy's greatest minds to help us weaponize impossibility on a scale never before imagined. She looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes, optical sensors, and various sensory organs of the assembled representatives. We need you to help us dream while awake. A moment of stunned silence followed. Then, surprisingly, the logical conquerors' AI representative spoke up. You want us to abandon logic. Not abandon it, Dr. Zhang corrected. Transcend it. Think about it. What's the most illogical thing you could do when faced with absolute logic? Fight it with illogic. Galactic answered, their crystalline form beginning to pulse with understanding. Use imagination as a weapon. Now you're getting it. Maya grinned. We've already started converting some of our dream ships into what we're calling reality art galleries. They generate fields of pure creativity that seem to repel the null wave. We've got teams of lucid dreamers painting new laws of physics into existence. But we need more. She pressed a button, and the chamber was filled with swirling patterns of impossible colors, the visual representation of humanity's dream math. We're proposing Operation Wonderland. We'll teach you our dream techniques, show you how to fold reality like origami, help you understand why treating causality as a suggested guideline is sometimes the most logical choice. And if we refuse? Asked an ancient arbiter, though Maya noticed they were already studying the dream patterns with intense interest. Then the universe becomes a place of pure logic. Dr. Zhang replied simply. No dreams, no imagination, no possibility, just cold, absolute certainty forever. The chamber erupted in discussion, but Maya could already see the decision in their reactions. The quantum pioneers were practically vibrating with excitement. The logical concordat was running simulations that deliberately included impossible variables. Even the ancient arbiters were attempting to decode the dream patterns, their millennia of accumulated knowledge finding new context in humanity's impossible mathematics. The Dream Academy opens tomorrow, Maya announced. First lesson, why purple tastes like quantum uncertainty and how to use that fact to break reality in useful ways. Don't worry if that doesn't make sense yet. Making sense is entirely optional in this course. As the council chamber transformed into an impromptu dream physics laboratory, Maya caught Galactic's eye. The crystalline being was attempting to solve an equation by turning it into a small dance number. You know, Galactic commented, when your species went to sleep, We thought you were running away from reality. Now I understand. You were learning to dream it into something better. That's humanity for you. Maya smiled, watching as a group of ancient arbiters attempted to surf probability waves on repurposed quantum tablets. We've never let reality's limitations stop us from improving it. Above them, the first graduates of the Emergency Dream Training Program were already taking to their ships, ready to face the null wave with weapons forged from pure imagination. The universe's greatest threat to logic was about to meet its match, a galaxy that had learned to dream with its eyes open. The battle for reality itself unfolded across the galactic rim in ways that defied conventional description. Dream ships danced through quantum foam, their crews comprising humans and aliens working in harmony to weave impossible defenses against the encroaching null wave. From the bridge of the flagship Lucid Dreamer, High Admiral Maya Patel watched as another squadron of reality artists, graduated just hours ago from the Dream Academy, painted new laws of physics into existence. Beside her, HFY had evolved their crystalline form to incorporate what they called probability fractals, allowing them to process dream logic with unprecedented efficiency. Status report, Maya called out, as multicolored quantum equations swirled around the bridge like abstract auroras. The logical Concordat's AI fleet has successfully weaponized Paradox, reported Lieutenant Commander Zhao. They're using recursive logic loops to create pockets of pure imagination in the null wave's path. It's actually working. On the main view screen, Maya watched as ships piloted by formerly pure logic AI minds performed maneuvers that could only be described as poetic license with reality. They had learned well from humanity's dream teachers, embracing the power of the logical thinking with the same precision they'd once applied to mathematical formulas. The ancient arbiters have deployed their legacy dreamers, HFY added, their form shimmering with excitement. They're using their million-year history to generate what they're calling mythic probability fields. Apparently, telling reality it's just a story makes it more amenable to editing. Maya smiled as she watched the oldest civilization in the galaxy essentially turning spacetime into an interactive narrative. Their ships, ancient and dignified, were now trailing stardust that sparkled with literal plot twists. And the quantum pioneers. They've gone full avant-garde, Zhu grinned. They're treating quantum mechanics like an improvisational jazz session. The uncertainty principle has never been so groovy. The null wave's advance had slowed, its attempt to impose absolute logic on the universe, meeting resistance in the form of pure, weaponized creativity. Where it tried to establish unchangeable laws, it found poetry. Where it sought to eliminate uncertainty, it encountered dreams given form. All ships, Maya broadcast across the dream-enhanced quantum network, initiate Operation Wonderland. Remember your training. Reality is more of a collaborative art project than a set of rules. Let's show this thing why imagination will always be stronger than pure logic. What followed would later be described in terms ranging from the most beautiful impossibility to that time we turned the laws of physics into an interpretive dance number. The combined fleet, human dream ships, AI logic breakers, ancient story vessels, and ships piloted by species that had only recently learned to imagine, moved in perfect, impossible harmony. They didn't just fight the null wave. They reimagined it. Where it sought to erase, they created. Where it tried to impose certainty, they introduced wonder. The very fabric of space-time began to ripple with new possibilities as thousands of civilizations added their own dreams to humanity's grand design. Look, HFY called out suddenly. The null wave, it's changing. On the view screen, the void that had threatened to consume all imagination was transforming. As it encountered the combined dreams of a galaxy awakened to new possibilities, it began to develop its own complexity, its own uncertainty, its own dreams. Of course, Maya breathed, understanding dawning. You can't erase imagination without imagining erasure. We didn't need to destroy it. We just needed to teach it to dream. The null wave, that great force of pure logic, found itself caught in the paradox of its own existence. In attempting to impose absolute certainty, it had encountered the one true constant of the universe, change itself. And in that moment, it became something new, a bridge between logic and dreams, certainty and possibility. Hours later, as the combined fleet regrouped around a star that was now singing in previously impossible colors, thanks to some enthusiastic reality editing by the quantum pioneers, Maya stood before the emergency session of the Galactic Council once again. "The crisis is over," she announced, "but this is just the beginning. We've learned that reality itself is more flexible, more wonderful, and more alive than any of us imagined. The question is, what do we dream up next?" The chamber, once a place of rigid protocol, had evolved along with its occupants. Representatives from across the galaxy sat, stood, floated, and existed in probability clouds, all of them changed by their crash course in dream logic and weaponized imagination. "The Dream Academy will remain open," Maya continued, "not as an emergency measure, but as a permanent institution. The place where we can all learn from each other, where logic and dreams can coexist and create new wonders together." "And the Dream Fleet?" asked a young AI consciousness that had recently learned to appreciate abstract art. "Will become the galaxy's first impossible exploration force," Maya smiled. "There are whole dimensions of reality we've barely imagined yet, and now that we've learned to dream together, there's no limit to what we might discover." As the council chamber erupted in excited discussion, with several species simultaneously proposing increasingly impossible expedition ideas, Maya felt Arctic's crystalline presence beside her. The end.